All right, welcome to today's webinar. We're so excited that you can be with us today. My name is Sean Connors. I'm with Contractor Appointments. We help home service providers scale predictably their lead volume with a pay-per-lead or pay-per-sale relationship with them. So I'm so excited to be joined today by John Scott of Apex Chat. So as we've done this webinar series, we've just been bringing in partner after partner here that are just sharing some insights for you as a marketing manager, as an owner of a home improvement company, here to be able to really move your marketing to the next level. How do you better serve the homeowners that you're in front of currently, the leads that you currently have? How do you get more out of the leads you currently have? And then what I'm super excited about talking about today with John is just how do you get more out of your website? How do you make your website actually work for you 24/7? Your website, I remember when I sold websites. We were trying to sell websites, I should say, for a period of time. This is like 10, 12 years ago now. And it was like our sales pitch was your sales rep is your 24 sale. Your website is your 24/7 sales rep, right? And that hasn't changed. I'd say it's even more important today. So that's what we'll talk about, is that your website is a 24/7 lead qualification machine. But how do you make that actually work besides a form that's out there? So many of you guys have heard of Apex Chat. They've been around the industry for a while, but I want to introduce you to John. John, welcome, and tell us a little about yourself. Give us some of your background.
Sean, thanks so much for having me. Super appreciate it. Like you said, name's John Scott. I've been with Apex Chat for over 6 years now. I'm in a strategic partnership role, and I've assisted several hundred small to medium-sized businesses add our service to their website, all for the purpose of helping them convert more of their visitors into qualified leads. And up until recently, specifically, I've been working inside the home improvement space, working with some great partners like you guys here, Market Sharp, a bunch of others just out there in the industry. Sunrise Windows is one I can think of. Timo Sunrooms, just a bunch of great different companies. But yeah, super excited to be here today.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us. We'll kind of dive right in here. I think one thing that's really unique here about Apex is that they're not just in the home improvement space. So, John, as you mentioned, you guys are in other spaces as well. As every industry has a website, right? Every business has a website. So, you probably have some industry and information and expertise that you can pull over that help home improvement contractors. I think we can often get in this boat where it's like you get this so focused that's like, well, home improvement's different than every other marketing channel out there or every other company that's marketing. And it's really not. The more we learn about it, it's like, well, it's no different than selling any other service or product or anything like that. The more we can learn from those other services and other companies, the better. So with all that to be said here, the first question I had for you was just how can live chat help convert more website visitors? A lot of other contractors that are on this webinar here are like, they're using Facebook and driving a lot of traffic. They're using Google AdWords. They're using any means possible to try to get people in the door. They might have profiles on multiple websites as well, and varying levels of traffic, right? They might be trying some SEO. But the hardest thing I've heard again and again and again is you put an ad of $20 per click on Google AdWords, and then you're like, it's like, what's my conversion rate sucks. It just, it's like, how do I build more value? And my website looks like everybody else's and so forth. It's a competitive landscape out there. How do you convert as many people who actually visit your website to an actual, lead? Let alone, give them a good experience while on your, on your website as well. So chatbots are out there, but, clunky. So tell us about Apex Chat and how can you convert more with a chat versus just having a form?
Well, that's a great question. One of the things we're most known for is we provide a 24/7 service. So, I mean, right off the bat, the first struggle with live chat is manning it. And, a lot of companies think they can get away with doing it just during the day. And they also think they can get away with giving that responsibility to somebody that answers the phones or deals with people that comes in their front office. When, handling chats that's really their secondary role. You really need somebody, if you're going to do it yourself, you need someone internally dedicated And that's hard for a couple reasons. One, if you get a lot of traffic, it's hard for one person to manage. And two, if you don't have a lot of traffic, then that person's really just going to be sitting on their hands a lot.
Mhm.
So what people really like about us is we have our own team of agents who are trained on how to use our script system, that are there 24/7 to answer any and every chat request that comes through. So if you want to convert more of your, if you want to increase your conversions, you're spending all these marketing dollars driving people to your website, making sure that you either do have a chat bot in place, at least something basic that can give out basic responses. And so you're not just giving someone the cold shoulder. Someone reaches your website and they try to have a conversation and the person doesn't pick up the chat for 2 minutes, or they don't pick up at all. Having a chat bot at a minimum would be good. And then, using something like a solution like ours, where you're going to have a live body behind it 24/7, is probably the best way to go about it.
Well, yeah, spend a second on that here too. It's like there's a lot of chatbot companies out there now. I mean, you
Oh
Google
yeah.
chatbot and there's like a million companies, and it's like you ask a question and they yes or no, and they're going to go
Hmm.
down like a path or whatever that looks like on that side.
Yeah.
So, and then they all have like the same like girl with a headset on,
Yeah.
who's like the stock image of like, it's like, that's not real. You're not a real person to chat with. So tell us about like, how do you overcome that? Like I know I kind of click out of those chat things because they're super annoying, and I'm like, that's not a real person. How do you
Yeah.
kind of bring some personalization to that and make it, uh, what it real versus kind of chat bot?
Sure. Well, with what I can speak from our, for our system, we have a whole slew of stock images. So, and most of our accounts set it to rotate. Some people prefer having their representative image always of a male or a female. And then we even have some clients who like to use their own imagery. You mentioned that, yeah, Apex Chat works with a lot of different, in quite a few different verticals. One thing that I can say that we've pulled over from the legal space, a lot of attorneys, especially in personal injury, their image is their brand. So a lot of attorneys we work with like to use their own, an image of the attorney themselves on the chat widget. And then, we have some home improvement clients doing the same, or should I say, they actually have images of their own people internally, that are actually handling the chats show up when they are the ones handling the chats. So that's a way that, we can kind of make it stand out and make it feel a bit more personalized.
Yeah, well, I think the whole, we've had many different webinars here talking about just like, it's like creating automation, but it's also creating this personalization. Like we all
Yeah.
want to be met in this like very personal, like, we're one-on-one conversation type of environment. So
Yeah.
when it comes to like really taking a live chat, like what kind of statistics do you have? I mean, what have you guys seen from like just an overall like lift in conversion rates from like going back to
Sure.
this whole like, I'm going to send traffic to my website without live chat?
Hmm.
My expectation is like 1 out of 10 of those convert into an appointment, or maybe one out of 20 of them turn into a lead, versus live chat. How much does that normally increase your conversion rate, or what
Hmm.
have you guys seen?
So what we've seen and what we usually hear from clients is after we start working with someone, they typically see anywhere from about a 10 to a 40% lift in the number of leads coming from their website. So if they were getting 100 leads from their website before, and that we're talking form fills, phone calls, emails, etc. After working with us, they can usually expect, anywhere from about an additional 10 to 40 more leads using those numbers, that math. We actually have a case study from a new home builder who saw a 2,000% increase in
Hmm.
leads after working with us, that's that's on the highest rare side that you can imagine. Like I said, I've been here for 6 years. I've never heard anybody see uh, something as high as a 2,000, let alone a 100% increase in leads. So, um, for someone to have that type of results, that's pretty striking.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I think that's obviously, anything helps to try to do it. It's obviously, it's not only the live chat, like the little pop
Mhm.
up thing in the right hand corner, or whatever it
Mhm.
is that's saying, "Hey, come chat with me. I'm right here." You were saying, from my last conversation with you, is that you kind of like reach them from multiple angles. Is that,
Oh,
hey,
yeah.
we can text with you too. Would you like to
Mhm.
start a text message conversation? And tell us about like, what is that interaction like versus like this live chat, and what have you seen there?
So it's pretty much this. I mean, the interactions are relatively the same. You obviously get a more interested consumer if they're sharing their SMS number with you right away, because they have to opt in, and they have to, usually they have to be the one. If they're on mobile, they have to be the one sending that initial message to our agents, and then on desktop they just punch in their mobile number, but they're giving us their number right away. So we found that with people that start a chat through SMS through our system, they convert into what we call a sales lead, which is a qualified lead in our eyes. About 70 to 80% of the time, they convert into a lead. And then if someone starts a traditional chat, about 30% of those visitors convert into a lead. So there's the SMS channel, there's the traditional live chat channel, and then kind of something you said earlier reminded me of our exit pop-up feature. So if someone tries leaving a website, a desktop site we're installed on, and if they haven't initiated a conversation with our system whatsoever, as they go to leave, our system will deliver a large pop-up in the middle of their screen saying, "Hey, I noticed you were leaving. Please don't go. We noticed, did you find all the information you were looking for? Were you thinking about setting up a free estimate?" And we found that people that utilize that tool, on average, their conversions are about 20% higher than accounts that aren't using an exit pop-up tool such as that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and that's just just the exit pop up is like you move your cursor away, like
Mhm.
you're going to close the browser, and now it goes,
Exactly.
whoop,
Yeah.
it pops up to you, and like we're here to chat and have a conversation with you. So yeah, it's just another one of those, like, hey, before you leave, why don't you try to maximize that click? Again, you paid for the click already. Try to get the
Yeah.
person to stay on your website as much as possible before they leave.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to bring up really quick here to make sure no one misses it is that your statistic you gave with SMS is
Hmm.
that you're talking about 70 to 80% of the people who fill out and say, text me, I
Yep.
want you to text me to have a conversation, are converting into a lead. Like
Hmm.
that is something I think I want everybody to like take away here is like that's something to try out on your website and your lead
Yeah.
forms and as an option is giving people options, is giving
Hmm.
people paths of ways to be able to get in touch with you, get in touch with their team. Is again, people want to be communicated to in the way that they want to be communicated to. And if they feel like you're going to, that you're filling in a blanket form and that their phone is going to blow up with phone calls, they maybe not wanting to fill out your phone form because they filled out a form on some other person's website and they're expecting to get a bunch of phone calls. So if
Yeah.
you give them alternative options that will text you and have a very low lift conversation,
Hmm.
you might convert more leads just because you're different. So I think I was going to preach this like be different, in every way possible. So
Yeah.
it's like if you
Yeah.
can say, hey, we do texts and no one else does texts, hey, do that also, and meet people where they're at. So I think that's great. One thing we're kind of talking about here, I was just mentioning to John here earlier, is obviously we're providing a lot of online leads, which are people who fill out forms on our websites, and then we're sending those leads into your CRM system. But one of the things that really just processing through here is like when your sales team is your call center team is out of the office, those leads sit and you might have an automated text that goes out or an automated email that goes out. But beyond 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock or 8 o'clock, whenever your call center closes, people are still online filling out forms and leads are
Yep.
still going out. If your first text message you even sent to them says, hey, go take a look at our website, and you've got a live agent from Apex on that live chat, you're again just trying to maximize that lead to create and start a conversation. Again, leads at the end of the day are people raising their hand. The next stage in a lead's journey is
Hmm.
engagement. So if you can engage them through your website, that's just another way to be able to engage them here too. So
I have a short story for you,
yeah,
kind of on that topic. When I joined the company, the person that hired me, his name was Jim Burt. He since passed away last year. He's co-founder of the company. Company started in 2008. And there's a story that he always loved to share. And like you said, we work with tons of different companies. One company we worked with was a coin company, like a rare coin, buy, sell, trade rare coins. And they had contacted us after utilizing our services, and they're like, we just closed a $500,000 deal, and it was all because of your service. And we're like, well, how are you so sure that it had to do with us and they wouldn't have converted otherwise? And they said that when they talked to the client they had closed, they asked him, what was it about us that decide that made you want to do business with us? And he said, I was looking at your website late at night, and you were the only coin company to offer a live chat and have someone available for me to speak with at that hour. So he's like, I knew you guys were all about
Yeah.
customer service and being available. So he's like, that's why I went with you.
Yeah, well, I think that's so important in today's world. Like I can't tell you how many times I've left work and been like, shoot, I need to call the pest control company to have them out here, and I was like, closed. They're all closed.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, they work when I work, and I'm busy during the day, so
Yep.
like it's the same way with our call centers here. Maybe even you're open till 8 o'clock at night, but it's like, well, people are searching around online on Facebook, on Google, especially when they're clicking these Google ads and Facebook ads here. Unless you've got them specifically around a time block, you're getting people clicking on your website at 8, 9 o'clock, searching around, looking for a best roofing, window painting company and bath replacement contractor. That's just the nature of the process here.
Yeah.
So I think as much as you can try to get them engaged as soon as you possibly can in your brand, just being there is half the battle. When a customer is actually at the point of most interest, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I think that's great.
At the apex of most interest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Another piece of data I think you'll appreciate is pre-pandemic. Our data told us that 42%. Actually, two pieces of data. So 42% of the chats or the leads that we capture, 42% were generated outside traditional business hours. So like outside the 9 to 5,
Yep.
Almost half of the leads outside those hours. And then we found that in home services, chats increased 20% after business hours. So it's like people get off and they're like, oh, I got to get this.
Yep.
I got to do some research for my home. I got to get this contractor out here.
Well, and that's just how we as consumers are naturally kind of handling things as well. We do it when we it's an on-demand kind of economy on that side of things, and but it's just it's an extension of your team. So I think one of the things I love about Apex here too, just not to speak for you guys, is just how you guys charge even for your services is pretty minimal for the lift that you're doing on that side of things here too. So I think I won't go into pricing and all that kind of stuff if you guys don't want to.
Sure.
But yeah, so let's, I think one of the questions here is on a website. So just thinking about it as a whole, and maybe you don't have these statistics, but like percentage of leads that become a chat, or maybe percentage of traffic that, through traditional advertising, Google ads or whatever it is in the home service space. Do you have any kind of averages what companies should expect from a conversion rate? Overall, do you have any of those numbers?
Yeah, I would say that, I would expect anywhere from about 3 to 5 to all the way up to 10% of your traffic will, has the possibility of starting a chat. And then it's usually right in that, of the people that chat, about 30% of the people that initiate a chat will convert into a lead. And obviously it'll be a higher number if our SMS tool is in use there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and so obviously it's just gathering, and obviously adding a chat or adding any additional ways to be able to engage with you during that experience on your website, can help with that bounce rate or all that kind of stuff here too. I know it's another industry term, is somebody going and clicking on your webpage and then going, whoop, I didn't mean to do that. Or they went there and they didn't last very long. They just went on to the next one because they didn't see something that wasn't there. So obviously you're around websites all day long. You guys, your tool lives on websites. So I'm curious, just even besides chat, I mean, do you have any like overarching things that you see within the website industry, as a, websites in general within this industry, that like that you see that companies are just missing on their landing pages, on their websites, that are either not showing value or too generic, or not enough information or too
Oh
much
yeah.
information? I'd love to hear kind of some of your thoughts on that.
I mean, there's been plenty of times where, someone in home services will inquire, for our services, and then we kind of take a look at their website, and it's like, yeah, no wonder you need more leads. Look at your website. Sometimes they don't have a form, readily available. I'm no marketing expert, but I know that it's important to at least have a form pretty much on every page of your website. It's important to have your phone number on every page of your website. And there's been plenty of times where I've run across prospects like, oh yeah, I need to get your chat. I need to get more leads. Well, it's like, okay, well, you should probably be doing these other things here as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I think that's because, again, people bounce away from your website because your website looks too generic, or you don't have
Mm-hmm.
an offer that's enticing. So, that goes, well, you can look too professional, and then
Yeah.
people go, well, you look like you're going to charge me an arm and a leg because
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
website looks like it's,
More than my house, or
yeah,
more than
more,
my
more
car.
expensive than anything. Like everything's too polished. No
Yeah.
one has a house that looks like that. So it's like, how do you be
Yeah.
relatable to people
Sure.
in
Yeah.
your target market? It's like how many stock images we see on websites is just absolutely crazy to me. But yeah, I think that's that. I think generic information, having a form on every website, making sure you're actually tracking all this stuff as
Mhm.
well, so you're not
Yeah.
just throwing money into Google AdWords, into Facebook, and all that kind of stuff, and expecting a different result.
Yeah.
Because leads just start pouring in because they do. That's just not the way it is. So any other kind of nuggets that you can share, just when it comes to like websites and trying to gather as much traffic as you possibly can, and many leads as you possibly can, using Apex, and kind of even sharing some of the roadmap that you've kind of shared with me that Apex is going to doing with appointment setting and stuff like
Yeah.
that, as
Um,
well.
I think, I think it's great when I see home, home remodelers, roofers, etc., utilizing landing pages more, because that's what some of these, there's a couple companies out there that are just basic lead aggregators. They're just using your brand. They're building basically a custom landing page for you, and chat can be greatly utilized on those, because most of the time the traffic going there is paid traffic, which is, paid traffic is usually going to convert a lot higher than organic traffic. So I think that's always great when, it's like, okay, yeah, you do windows, doors, siding, roofing, but you really want to, if you're really wanting to increase your roofing jobs, then maybe it's a good idea to have a roofing landing page dedicated to that offering, and making sure that you have as many conversion tools on there as possible without making it clunky, or dragging down the SEO value, or hurting the website load speed or anything like that. And then, like you mentioned, we have this appointment scheduling tool in beta right now that we're really excited about, that people have been asking for a while. Because I mean, when the engagement's high, you want to strike when the iron's hot. So
Yep.
if we're able to qualify a lead and get them to the point where they're raising their hand, like, yeah, I would like to schedule an appointment. We're soon going to have the functionality to be able to do that. And, excited to see where that goes.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that's kind of like taking it from what you even consider as a qualified lead.
Mhm.
And or forgive me if I'm wrong, but it's like that's what you even charge for. Is this like,
Mhm.
name and address and phone number and whatever qualifications that are set up. And
Yeah.
then if you're answering those questions and you're delivering that over to the contractor,
Mhm.
is that, obviously, even if they're able to tie into the leading CRMs out there to say, here's an appointment that the customer even wanted to book all the way through it, if it was a qualified lead as well.
Mhm.
Again, it's just catching people at the channel they are at right now, in the
Yeah.
way that they prefer to be communicated with, and giving them options. If you give them
Yeah.
the option to book online and they go, well, I'd actually rather talk to somebody over the phone first, or I'd rather
Yeah.
text message with somebody first, is that the landscape of communication is so much more broad, and you
Oh
have to
yeah.
have your fingers in a little bit of everything. But
Mm-hmm.
I think one thing about Apex that I really like is that no one can be everything. Just to your point, is like most people don't have enough traffic on their website and enough visitors to have
Mm-hmm.
somebody sitting there doing the, the live chats, and or having someone do that 24/7 is another story as well. So if you're able
Mm-hmm.
to hire some of that stuff out, to be able to kind of piece this stuff together. So using vendors
Yeah.
to be able to kind of solve this stuff is fantastic. So awesome. Well, John, I so appreciate you kind of diving into the stuff here with us. I think people will probably have a lot of questions here for us, for you specifically on this topic. So,
Mhm.
how can they reach out to you to kind of get more information about Apex and about just about yourself? If they have any specific questions about what we talked about here today.
Yeah, they can. I'm always available at email. I can also, feel free to give me a call, shoot me a text. Happy to respond and send me a chat. Send me anything. I'm carrier pigeon.
Yeah.
Whatever works for them.
Being available on all channels.
Yeah,
Way to go. That's awesome. So yeah, we'll send off and we'll have links to your website and everything else here in this as well. All of these are recorded, so you can pass them off to your team as well. So feel free to be able to do that. Once again, thank you, John, for jumping on here and diving into this stuff here with us. And if this can help your website, just even in again 2%, 5% more conversions off your current paid ads that you're doing right now, I highly, highly recommend having at least an additional tool to be out there, and trying to gather leads and try to get people and meet people where they're at, as best as you possibly can. So awesome. Awesome. I appreciate your time today, John, and thank you so much. We'll talk to you again here shortly.
Thanks for having me, Sean. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks.